We're traveling back in time, but to the 80s, not the 50s. That's right, friends. Today we get to take a look at Marty McFly from Back to the Future, who was supposed to be 17 in that film, but he was played by Michael J. Fox, who was actually 23. But I mean, whatever. He pulled it off. It's a really good movie, obviously, and this is a really good Marty figure from NECA. Now let's just get into it and start taking a look at the sculpt. So the face sculpt has sort of this open mouth, which I guess is because like Marty's always like, "What? You made a time machine, Doc Brown? What? You're my dad? What? You're my mom?" Like, there's a lot of surprise things going on in the movie, kind of. But I mean, it does look like Michael J. Fox. It looks pretty good. I like the sculpt on the hair. And then one thing I never noticed about Marty in that movie is, gosh, he is wearing a lot of clothes. Like, he has, if you look down there, he has a red shirt, then a plaid shirt on top of it, which is what's inside out, coming out of his cuffs over here, and then a denim jacket, and then a life preserver. And these are like separate rubber pieces that are sort of not really intended to be removed, because like you can kind of peel them up, but then you see like this peg thing that is I guess not really glued on, more like glued on with paint, you know what I mean? It's not really meant to be seen, this peg that sticks out of the denim and then pops into the red vest, which is like a life preserver thing. I mean, like, yeah, looking back at the 80s, it's like, yeah, the 50s people are right. This does look like a life preserver. Why would you wear this? In fact, I'm pretty sure Hill Valley's supposed to be in California, and, let me tell you something. Californians do not wear this much clothes, even in November when that movie takes place. I think it does. It takes place in November in the 50s at least, but like in the 80s, I'm not sure when it does. But like, we mostly just wear t-shirts. We don't wear another button shirt on top of a t-shirt and then a denim jacket. If we're cold, we'll wear like one jacket on top of the shirt. But he's got like two jackets. He's got a jacket and a vest, which, is honestly a lot. Anyways, the button shirt in there is actually a rubber overlay, which, I mean, might cause some articulation issues, but we'll get to that when we look at that. But I mean, in terms of the sculpt, it leaves no seams, which is pretty nice. And then he even has his little suspenders, which I don't think we see too much of in the movie, but they're there and they are sculpted on, which is pretty cool, I do say so. Marty's watch over here is, I think, supposed to be a Casio watch. I'm not 100% on that, but that's what some fan sites have led me to believe. Sculpted nicely, looks pretty accurate. And then I think these are supposed to be Guess jeans, but I mean, hey, the sculpt everywhere is pretty darn good. Even on the shoes, they got the laces and everything. I mean, I really have no complaints with the sculpt, honestly. Everything, maybe like the "what? I'm surprised" expression is kind of weird, but I mean, he gets an alternate head, so all the issues are kind of taken well care of. Now, in terms of the paint, you may notice something. These are supposed to be Nike Bruins, but where's the Nike logo? Now, they didn't have a logo on the tongues of the shoes in the movie. Like, they do have them on Nike Bruins in real life, but they took them off the tongues for the movie. So it's accurate that there's nothing there, but then, like, the red swoosh on the sides, NECA had to change that to just some weird red line, because that swoosh is technically a logo, so whatever. But I mean, the rest of the paint's pretty perfect. Like, that's really the only complaint, is they don't have a logo, but they couldn't have included that, obviously. But the paint that's there is really clean. The jeans even have this lighter blue dry brushing effect sort of wash going on to make them look worn, which is really great. And then the denim jacket up here has that on top of like a dark wash here and there. And then same thing with the life preserver vest. It's got dark wash in there. Some of the spots, like, you can really tell, like there's a little line here, like there's a dark paint pattern in there to really bring out a little details, but it's not too much. It doesn't look dirty or anything. Then the gold buttons on the both jackets. He's wearing two jackets. What can I say? He's got two jackets on. Painted very cleanly. I like that. Then the face, the hair's very clean, but one thing that's a little weird is, like, he sort of has this rosy cheek thing going on. It's not too noticeable on camera, and it's not too noticeable in person after a while. I guess you get used to it, but I mean, is a little odd. Anyways, the paint's pretty good. I mean, it's pretty impressive how they got like all the little stripes on his button shirt. Suspenders are clean. I got no real issues with the sculpt or the paint. It is pretty spot on. Good job, NECA. Now, for articulation, Marty's life preserver ain't helping him much, because if he wants to look up, he pretty much can't without popping his head off like that. But really, this like rubbery collar back there, really, even if you're not popping the head off, prevents him from going that far back. Like, you try and go further back than that, the head's coming off, and like looking down, I guess this is pretty much the limit of his range up and down. I mean, he can swivel all the way around pretty much, but I mean, it gets a little awkward with the collar there, but I mean, doesn't really prevent it, although you don't really want to do that, obviously. And he gets side to side, so the ball joint on the head is fine. It's limited a bit by the collar. On the shoulders, he can go up a little above 90, which is great. Swivel all the way around. He has double elbows, and they swivel at the top of the joint and at the bottom of the joint, which, you know, I don't really think is necessary because, like, you know, NECA, why would I want to, like, turn my joint completely backwards, you know? It's like, you don't... Well, I mean, I guess this is for adult collectors, so they're probably not going to do that in the first place. And then, thankfully, the wrists are hinge and swivel. I love that we have hinges on our wrists now, NECA, instead of just the little ball joints that would pop off super easy. Although, I mean, I wish these hands would pop out a little easier because he has alternate hands that we'll get to later, but, like, I've been playing with them, and the hands are really tough to pop out. Anyways, we get to the torso. Now, he cannot swivel all the way around, but if you're playing with it, like, there is some kind of ab or waist or diaphragm ball joint in there. Like, it can flex, but, like, because of this rubber overlay, it's not going anywhere. Like, any articulation that's in there is essentially useless. So why bother with the rubber overlay, NECA? Like, it's ultimately pointless because you may as well just have sculpted it a solid piece because you can't really get any poses out of it. You cannot twist him at all. But good news for the hips. They are on new and improved ball joints. They're not doing that weird, like, C-cup ball joint that, like, connects to the other ball joint and makes the legs pop out pretty easily. Like, this seems to be a new and improved design from NECA, and Marty can do the splits so far. He can raise his leg up so far, and even go back a good deal, because the rubber piece, I mean, that's the good part of the rubber piece. It's got a rubber diaper down there for the legs, I guess. But, I mean, they also swivel, and if you, like, look at the design in here, they sort of have a swivel around the cup that grips the ball joint, and then the cup itself can swivel around the ball joint. So in theory, that should allow them to swivel more, but, like, in practice, it's just kind of, you know, the same sort of range we've seen from NECA before. But whatever, if these legs hold up more than their old ball joint design in the hips, I'm very happy with them. Then the knees are on hinge and swivel. They don't go quite to 90, but they swivel all the way around like that. I don't know why we're getting double elbows, but not double knees, whatever. And then there's hinge and pivot ankles. Now, one thing with the ankles is, why is the disc for the, you know, pin in there blue? I mean, I get that most of the leg was sculpted in blue, and then you've just painted this part gray, but I mean, like, this is only going to show up on the gray sock part. Like, just plan ahead a little, NECA. Like, that should be gray. I wish the articulation was a bit better. Like, we should really get something at the waist, at least. I mean, if they just made this solid plastic and then given us a swivel, I feel like that would have been better than whatever they tried to do, because it's not really functional there, and then the head doesn't get much, you know, up and down functions, but otherwise the articulation is just fine for NECA figures, I guess. Marty's packaging is a standard NECA Ultimate box. We get a picture of the Drew Struzan poster that he drew for the first movie on the front, and if you come in right here, you can see a little signature of his. It says Drew 85, because that's when he drew it, and that's when the movie came out, and then right below that, we have a sticker that says Back to the Future 35 for the 35th anniversary, which it was last year in 2020, but we're reviewing this now in 2021. On the top, we got a picture of the DeLorean, the actual name of the figure. It's the same on all the sides. It says Ultimate Marty McFly, and if we look at the DeLorean picture, it's got the dates from the 3 movies in the trilogy when they go to the 50s and the future and the Old West there. On the back, we got some more pics of the figure, and then we got the other figures in the wave, and the tails from Space Marty McFly is a real peg warmer, I noticed, at, like, Targets. And people do not want that fully cloth radioactive suit Marty NECA, I guess, you know? But anyways, if we open up the flap, I will say one thing I've had an issue with is these little Velcro stickers, just, like, you know, staying stuck because the Velcro's stronger than the glue they used to put this piece on, so that's kind of an issue. You might want to super glue it if you're kind of person to keep it collected in the box and everything, but I mean, I just tend to stick it back on. It's not really that big a deal. Anyways, on the left, we get a picture of the figure in front of a still from the movie when Doc is, like, back in the DeLorean out of the weird trailer it was in. And on the right, we get the figure itself, of course, which also has that background, but, like, from a different angle. Like, see, this is the trailer on the outline, and we'll see the DeLorean on the inside in a moment. But right now, let's get this figure out of here. I'm honestly pleasantly surprised his twist ties aren't, you know, tied together against themselves here. Well, we gotta undo these, though, to get him out. Okay, Hey, 3 twist ties seems a little excessive to me, NECA. I mean, I think you could have just had like one going around the waist, especially considering like you've got a twist tie for each arm, and the arms are already slotted into these little holes, so I mean, that's kind of pointless, honestly. And then on top of that, we got the little issue with the Velcro often, you know, being stronger than the glue and ripping this off the side of the cardboard here. But I mean, otherwise, the packaging is fine, of course. And now we can take a look at that cardboard insert in there, and yep, same picture of the DeLorean, just we get the whole rear end of it instead of like it being cut off on the side there. Pretty cool packaging. I think we could do with less twist ties pretty much. And make that glue stronger, NECA. For accessories, Marty gets an alternate head, and the camcorder he used in the movie, his electric guitar, his backpack, skateboard, and 1, 2, 3 alternate hands. So the alternate head has a closed mouth, and the nostrils on it are still painted like on the regular figure, but I mean, like, that's not that big deal. What is a big deal is he's got those Ice Aviator sunglasses, which are not silvery like they are in the poster and like I think the teaser trailer too, but they're not inaccurate either because they look pretty black in a lot of scenes in the films. And if we pop the head off, which comes off pretty easily, we can pop the new one on, and it just kind of mushes on there. Like, I wish there was a satisfying click, but you know, it swaps off easy enough. Looks pretty cool. I like this alternate head. Then he comes with the JVC GRC1 camcorder, which is actually Doc's camcorder in the movie, but Marty borrows it for most of the time and takes the 50s, and Doc doesn't realize it's his own. This thing is supposed to have a bunch of logos on it, like it's supposed to say JVC on the hand strap right there, and on like the front eyepiece up there. Like this is the eyepiece back here, not the lens. It's supposed to say it on the front of this, and it's supposed to say like JVC on the red over here, and it's supposed to also say video movie on the side section, but I mean, they don't have any of those logos. I don't know why they don't have video movie. They probably could have done that, but like it probably would have been too small is the issue. But they obviously don't have JVC because that's like a licensing issue. And then they have buttons right here, and if we could focus on them, that little record button that's red is actually painted red. It's very subtle. Maybe it's a little tough to see on camera, but there's like a little dot right there that's actually painted red, which is the record button, and it should be. And then we have 2 rectangle buttons over here, which are painted blue. Those are actually the stop and eject buttons, I believe, which indeed are actually supposed to be blue, and they should all be labeled, you know, like it should be play, pause, whatever, but I mean, I don't expect NECA to get all those details. Other than that, I mean, they got every detail correct. Like, what's red is red on the actual camera, which is a real camera, and in the prop in the movie, which, you know, I guess was a real camera probably, but, you know, we got a little strap here, and it can slide over Marty's hand, kinda. And he can kind of hold it. His thumb kind of gets in the way. I can't really bring it to his face, though. I think it works a lot better with his alternate right hand that's a little more flat and has a thumb that can kind of wrap around the back of the strap there. Next up is the electric guitar, which Marty plays at the beginning in, like, Doc's house, which, you know, kind of makes me think, like, is this Doc's guitar? But no, it's actually Marty's, apparently. This is actually an Irwin-line Chiquita travel guitar, and I guess I call it Chiquita because it's, like, yellow like a banana, like Chiquita banana or whatever, but it's a real guitar, and NECA painted all the real details on it, exactly how it appeared in the movie, with, like, 2 exceptions, pretty much. This little knob should be black. And they come in different colors in real life, I think, but like in the movie, the knob was black. And then it should say Chiquita up at the head here, but I mean, that's a logo and a licensing issue, and I don't expect them to do that, so that makes sense. Anyway, Marty comes with 2 hands specifically for holding the guitar. One has a little grip for holding the head, and the other has his little, if I can take a look at it, his fingers pinched holding the pick, and that pick is painted silver, and like, I mean, it's not perfect, nothing ever is, but like, I mean, for most angles, it looks pretty darn perfect. Like, I'm impressed they got the silver painted just right on there with very minimal slop. But anyways, let's pop some hands off and see if we can get the new ones on. Man, the left hand is kind of tough on there. Those hands are so hard to pop off, but the head just comes off super easy. I mean, what gives with that NECA? Like, can you make the head a little tougher to pop off and the hands a little easier? That would be nice. But let's see how they pop in. Yeah, they pop in easier than they pop out, but now Marty has no head. Let's see if we're really getting this guy on there. Like, maybe he's just really hard to pop on, because I thought I had him on, but maybe it wasn't all the way because I didn't get any kind of pop. There, seems pretty secure. Anyways, now let's finally take a look at the guitar and get it in his hands. Now, NECA's done something very clever with the strap, which is a separate rubber piece. It swivels on both of these pegs it's attached to, and you could attach it if you want for, you know, like wrapping around him kind of easy, but it's not really necessary because you can always just like get it around the head and arm pretty easy on its own there. And then getting it into his hands, Let's see how we can do that. Okay, that was very easy, actually. And then, oh, it looks pretty good, like he's ready to play it. But I mean, if his arm could bend a little more, just twist it just right. And then, yeah, that is not bad at all. Really good job on the hands and the guitar, NECA. And no complaints, really, except that knob should be black. But I mean, who cares, really, honestly. Next, Marty's backpack is made by Eastpak in the movie, and they even have the little logo area sculpted and painted, but no logo there, of course. But the rest of the backpack, I mean, is 100% spot on in terms of accuracy, and I love the paint. It has like a cool little wash effect in it. Really looks worn and used, and I like how it's sculpted like bunched up fabric. It looks really cool. And they even painted little zippers at the top there. I mean, they probably didn't have to do that. It's just a great case of NECA going the extra mile there. And I also like how the straps, which, you know, are more rubbery piece than the rest of the thing, they're like sculpted specifically to be held on one shoulder, like Marty pretty much always does in the movie. And you can get it around just one shoulder really easily, and it looks pretty great, honestly. I mean, perfect job on the backpack there, NECA. Finally, Marty's skateboard is a Madrid Volterra, and yeah, they got the logos on there. Top and bottom of the skateboard, they have the logos. It's 100% accurate to the movie and the real skateboard. I mean, I think it's a real skateboard. I don't know how custom Marty made it for the movie, but like, I mean, this is exactly what Marty McFly's skateboard looked like. It's got a little texture for the grips on the top, too. Not that it's, you know, actually grippy like a real skateboard, but it's textured to look exactly like that. And look at that paint splatter design on the bottom. That is cool. But the coolest thing about it, the wheels actually turn. Take that, Michelangelo. Anyways, there's no peg for, like, you know, Marty, even though his feet have the peg holes. I think that would have been kind of cool, but I mean, I don't want to ruin the illusion of it being like a realistic skateboard, and, you know, he can hold it if we pop his grip and hand on, I'm sure. And with one hand, no less. That is a really cool inclusion. I love these accessories, NECA. I wish the hands popped out easier, but other than that, everything is pretty much perfect. You even got the logos on one of them. Awesome job. Now for the scale, Marty stands at about 6.5 inches or 16.5 centimeters tall. First, we'll compare him with some 6-inch superhero figures, my Batman and Spider-Man, before we get to some 7-inch NECA figures. Here he is with Alien and Predator, Rambo and Commando, Robocop and Terminator, which you should all be shorter than, because keep in mind, Marty McFly is a teenager after all. And how cool would it have been to see Doc Brown go to the Terminator future? Like, oh, I'm a Doc, Marty. It's a great Scott, and this is heavy. It's heavy metal, Marty. It's a friggin' Terminator coming to kill you and your mom. Now, do I ultimately recommend the ultimate Marty McFly from NECA, friends? Well, looking at all this awesomeness right here, how could I not, right? I mean, the sculpt, the paint, the accessories are all pretty much perfect. I mean, I could nitpick a thing or two here, but really the only negative for this figure is the articulation. It's pretty subpar, honestly. Like, not having any torso or waist articulation on a figure in 2020 or 2021 or 1985 or whenever it is pretty unacceptable, honestly, NECA. I know they tried, but what they tried did not work, so I can't give that a pass. Like, you can't even twist his waist, honestly. But I mean, every other category is just executed so well. Like, some accessories may not have logos, but they did get us the logos on the accessory that needed it the most, which is the skateboard, and like, everything else just looks so great. I wish the head and the hands would pop on better, but other than that, this is a really good figure. So unless you're like an articulation junkie, which is kind of a weird thing to be, I'm definitely going to recommend him. So until next time, peace out, YouTube.